Good afternoon. I started the talks today and I'll finish the talks today. Good afternoon. I'm Rodrigo Nardoni, Vice President of Technology from B3. I'm Marcos Vanderlei, Vice Infrastructure and Data Analytics Vice President. I have 23 years at this company, and our challenge today is to talk about B3 beyond the stock exchange.
E é uma jornada, né? Nardoni está falando que está há muito tempo aqui. Eu cheguei
I
exatamente 8 anos, quando já era B3, venho do mercado financeiro, com
came
experiência
from
por volta de 30
the
anos no
financial
mercado financeiro de
market.
crédito.
I worked
E o
for 30
objetivo foi, de
years,
fato,
and
ali começar uma jornada
when I came to
do
B3
que era
was
o negócio além da bolsa, né? Mais do
start
que o
business
mercado de ações, o
beyond
mercado de balcão, né, da
stock
antiga CETIP.
exchange.
E a gente começou essa jornada
And we
ali
started
em
this
2017.
journey in
E ela vem, ao longo
2017,
do tempo, se
and during
consolidando
this
cada vez
time,
mais e muito
this has
voltado,
been
sem dúvida nenhuma, como o
consolidating.
Nardoni comentou, para o mundo de dados, né? E
We
hoje a gente vai falar
are
pouco aqui de como está sendo essa jornada, tanto do ponto de vista de
talking
dados como de
about this
plataformas para
journey
dado. E eu acho que para iniciar
for
aqui,
data
é
and
pouco do que a
platforms
gente
for
tem
data.
falado dentro da nossa jornada, que é o poder dos dados.
The
E
power
qual é o
of
grande
data and
paradigma e
what
a
is the
grande
paradigm
diferença e
and
aonde
the
a gente vem trabalhando
difference,
nesses últimos
how we've
anos,
been
e
working
posso
the
dizer para
last
vocês com relativo sucesso,
years
dado
with
o modelo que a
success
gente adotou ali em 2017
because of the
e a
model we
estratégia que a gente
adopted in
fechou em 2019,
2017,
que foi quando a gente tomou a
and
decisão
in
de
2019
ir
we
para o mercado
decided
atrás
to go
de
to the
plataformas que
market looking
acelerassem
for
o nosso processo
platforms
na nossa estratégia de
that
dados
would
analíticos.
accelerate
Foi ali
our
então que a gente tomou a
process
decisão
of
de fazer a aquisição da
data
ANEL e
analytics.
Neurotech,
That's why
coisa
we
que aconteceu
acquired
logo
Danel
anos
and
depois. A gente teve uma
Neurotech.
pandemia no meio do
We
caminho
had
aqui,
a
mas que a gente
pandemic
continuou
during
firme nesse
this time,
processo.
and we
E o que
continue
é
in
que
this
nos leva
process. And
a dizer isso que eu
what
estou falando para vocês? Acho que um dos pontos
leads
principais nessa
us to
trajetória,
this
quando a gente fala de
journey?
dados,
When we
muita gente
talk
fala
about
de dados,
data, and
muita
many
gente
people
fala
talk
que tem
about
dados e que
data
monetiza dados, mas eu acho que
and
o
monetize
processo
data,
fundamental e
the
por onde a gente vem passando e
most
como a gente está conduzindo
important
tudo isso
thing
é de fato pegar o dado,
is get the
transformar esse
data,
dado em
transform
informação
it
e essa
into
informação
information,
suportar uma decisão para os
and
nossos
this
clientes nas mais
information
diversas
is the
indústrias
basis
que a
for
gente vem atuando e a
our
gente vai explorar um
clients.
pouco disso.
So we explore
Nardoni,
this
você vem
topic.
suportando a gente, nos
Nardoni,
ajudando com
you've been
plataformas. Eu queria que você
helping
falasse um
us with
pouco
the
dessa experiência que a
platforms.
gente vem
I would
ao
like you
longo
to
desses
talk about
últimos
the
5 anos
experience
trabalhando ferrenhamente
during
para
the
poder
past
atingir esse
5
objetivo.
years to achieve our goal. Before talking about the platforms and our work in technology, the B3 team is figuring out what to do with the information. I've heard from a company founder, a company that generates data and products. He said, I've worked at banks. Today I have my company, and what I see nowadays is that the companies get to be structured, data with very good tools to extract information from the data. They hire many scientists, but they don't know what to do with that data. They don't know which products to sell. So if you don't know what to do with the data, it's not worth it.
We need to translate this into data solution. That's what we do well. This is part of this co-creation process. The data itself does not make sense, and that's what we have been working lately. The solution will only make sense if it solves a problem. So we always start in a co-construction with the client. We identify with the client what the problem is, what needs to be solved, and with this problem, observing this universe of data that we have on B3 and everything that we have on data, plus the neurotech that was born and now that were born collecting data, non-structured data from the market. Everything reinforcing what he said, creating a big data lake, and from this condition, observing the client, sitting with the client to understand their problems, we can, with this volume of data, transform this data into information, and this information will help the client in their decision-making process. It only makes sense, the use of data, from the point that you can translate it into information, and this information supports problem solving for the client. And now, talking about your point, technological infrastructure, I remember long years ago when we started in a context of BMF Bovespa, we started a big project transforming the after negotiation platform. We called IPM, post-negotiation integration. And I remember provoking the company back then. We talked about data lake and analytics, and there was a problem. Who was in charge of it was technology. Everybody wanted to use, but nobody wanted to sponsor on investing and bringing tools, organizing information. No one wanted to be there, but everybody required that. It was not a priority, and we understand that we need to get ourselves organized. This was born years ago as an organization, one area that in the past was information service. How you provide to the company in general, organized data, structured data with investment, bringing the proper tools. So the company can use it for internal use, an area of pricing area that wanted to understand the client's behavior and find the best way, the best price. How can I make the difference between clients, divide them into clusters, so very fast I can use an information that is worked and I can use it. This was the first step as BMF Bovespa, external use. I want to create a product and take it to the market. So you come here in this source, you come to this area that we have this structure. Data is structured. So this structure was not born yesterday, it was born long time ago with technologies we had back then. With a fast forward, we understand that the growth of the amount of information, we need to take a decision or invest heavily in storage internally, or this would be used in the cloud. When you analyze and you study how the companies at a global level, not only in the financial market, work data, the cloud is the best solution. Because you have appropriate tools to work with big volume of data, and you also have a capacity of scale your solution in a way that is just in time when the data is growing. That was when we took this decision of not investing in storage. As B3, we would take, I will call it our workload of historical data to the cloud to collect all the benefits that I named. And this helped us a lot. When the companies came, Neo and Neurotech came, considering connectivity, this was easy. The companies worked in the cloud. They had their infrastructure using GCP, AWS, and although they were different clouds, the cloud was providing a connectivity so easily and very fast. We connect data, B3, with Neo and Neurotech data, so the teams could start working. But there was a difficulty. The availability is one thing. The teams need to know what to do with the data, the new data that is available. This is another difficult, but it's important to have technological infrastructure, a concept of data mesh, all the proper tools to provide mobility and flexibility of changing, connecting, creating, destructing instances. You experiment when you work. Marcos has more practice than me, but when you work with data, we experiment a lot. We need to understand the best vision, how to work that data better in order to reach a solution. That's how technology makes things possible. And connected to what he said, everything was possible because of the proximity that we created between tech area and business area, because it was a symbiosis process. Technology could not be far apart, providing it far away from business. Today is very common. Tech people together with us, visiting clients, understanding their needs, because when we have this view on all this data that we commented, we build solutions from a set of data, so I can deliver solutions to different industries. For example, with the same set of data, we have solutions for credit, insurance, sales and marketing, solutions for health area from a set of data when it was observed isolated, meeting a specific need. From this point, with the experience, client experience, understanding their needs, we can replicate a set of data and solutions for more than one industry. We can talk more about products and data solution that we have been investing and delivering. And then we use this opportunity to talk about artificial intelligence and how we are boarding into AI into our solutions. And we are going to talk about Bruce. It's not AIM. You understand, right? We'll talk about it now. I think that when we start talking about products, there are some things that are hot topics. And talking about something beyond the stock market, the table that we launched in the beginning of the year, already jointly with all this technology at NEO, and using artificial intelligence at Neurotech with database, automotive industry in B3, we created a table. And everything that we see in the market, this table uses the actual value of transaction of cars, different from research and inference based on advertisement. This is a nice work when we gather it all. But that's not it. In order to talk more about this ecosystem of intermediation, we have been working a lot modernizing Synacor. Can you talk more about it? Connecting. I do not know if you know Synacor is a software that B3 develops and deliver to the brokerage companies to execute their processes of middleware back office. Connecting and observing how to transform a software that is more transactional to a software that is more guided into artificial intelligence. We start here. Training models based on the application data, so we transform the system, and it's not the system that is traditional anymore, that you have menus and you choose the choices, generating a word that has to disappear. Report. I want to know, I want to see information. I have a question and I need information in front of me. When I see report, I am so afraid of this word, and I'm not ashamed to say that we are going to disappear with this report. Felipe Paiva, I'm telling you, there is reports. No reports. We need information and the way they want it. What we are doing with this system, maybe our biggest pilot, we trained artificial intelligence, a model of LLM without the data of Synacor. And the first step will be the dematerialization of the interface. No more screens. You ask questions to the system. For example, one of the roles of a back office is to know the orders that you input in the stock market and who are these clients. The orders are which clients. So you have to match the orders. There are orders that are mismatched in the end of the day. And we have to issue a report to see that orders that are mismatched, and then you match it all. And you need a prompt. Which are the orders that are mismatched? Then the system will bring a table. In this first point, we do not have the action, because the evolution of the solution, can you match these? These orders are the client X, and the system automatically matches it using APIs. What's behind? We have an intelligence of what is the API trigger according to the parameters. This is not so complex. And this is the advance when you talk about data, the power of data. When you train models with your system's data, you can have easier interfaces with the user. And this extrapolates, and you have exponential gain in productivity. One of the biggest problems that we face with a Synacor, that is a very complex system, it's old curiosity, more codes than Windows. This is not right, but it's true because of the time of existence. The biggest problem is a turnover in the brokerage areas. The people change, and they are not trained the best way to produce, and this generates problems because the system is very complex. If you simplify its use and the person is concerned, the cognitive load just in knowing what I have to do and not how to use the parameter, what is the field that I'm filling, leave this complexity inside the system. Let's have an interface in natural language. The person asks, the system executes it. That's the evolution. That's what we are seeking. So imagine if there are people, it's easier to use. People will have more accuracy in their work. If there is more accuracy, I reduce the calls and I reduce the stress that's generated. When the person does not know what to do, they call us, we have to answer, they want to leave because it's the closing of the day, 6 p.m., tomorrow is a holiday, have to travel, and this generates the final result, the NPS decreases. How can it go up? And the interaction is more intuitive. That's one of the examples if you see the core on how we are applying it. The training of artificial intelligence solutions and data to bring benefit to our clients. I believe this is a good example. Of course, we are not going to be exhaustive here, but when we see beyond the core, you joked about it, but when we see, I will name some examples. For one of the segments that we work, insurance companies, we have an agent, agentic AI. Bruce is not Wayne, as intelligent as Wayne. You know Bruce Wayne? Do you know Bruce Wayne? Batman. I love Batman. When we see another segment as important, that is credit, we have Colin, produced based on everything that we comment, all this information accelerating. If you come from credit modeling market, you know how hard it was to collect database, creating variables, and later you model, and then you test, and then you can implement. I'm from the time that is not so long ago, 2010, it took us 12 months to go throughout this journey. Separate database, test, model it, deploy. It was 12 months. When you deploy the model, the information was outdated. With everything we say, with all this technology and AI, we can develop the same model in minutes. You separate everything, you prepare in 20 minutes, you deploy, and the model is running with a little of AI. And just to open up for the floor, in the fraud world that we work so well, we have another agent, and we have tools using all this Gen AI process to accelerate the process co-creating with the clients. So we are transforming data into information to support the decision-making process. Going beyond, you can talk more about this infrastructure that is robust that we are creating at B3. That is our tokenization platform, bringing it all together, among other things, using for cars. It's very hard to try to brief it all, but there is a big modernization process. It's a constant process, how you keep yourself updated, modernizing your platforms. One of these pieces is about the modernization of our deposit of stocks. And when we start working a year ago, understanding that this technology that meets our demands, our volume, our complexity, but it's not a technology that will move ahead. I have to do something now. So you see it and you start doing, you see what's the best way of delivering a new product with better services. And then we see, I'll call it all the paraphernalia of technology, crowd microservices, all the buzzwords that we want to bring. In fact, we simplify, things are more flexible, we have smaller modules, so smaller problems. When the model is small, the problem is also small. If it's a big model, the problem is also big. That's also important to have smaller modules. Easy to put up Lego pieces, to have a vision that is more flexible. And when we saw it, say, let's put DLT here. That is Drex, we have to look ahead. This, at some point in time, will bring business cases that are important. I do not have tokenization of a stock, but I have tokenization of a real estate, of a car. So we decided to build this technology new depository. We have parallel projects, tokenization that we create with Ambipar. In addition to the technology, there is the regulatory aspect. And our depository was born with this capacity. And you see how interesting we were awarded an unexpected case use when you mirror the depository in a blockchain platform. If there's a ransomware, I hope it never happens, knock on wood. If something happens, I have a copy, a reliable copy of the stock in blockchains, and this is your board of salvation. That was not the case use that we aimed, but you gain a positive adverse effect in a solution. And of course, we are reinforcing, we are preparing it all for these cases that we will see in the future. We are reaching the end of this session. I'd like to comment one more case, and this is our case in the company. Agentic AI digital code that we created in our central. So we have more time, so people work in solutions. So we trained more and more this digital code. Perfect. Here we talk about artificial intelligence in our company, observing our processes, in our evolution. We created an agent to train our operators. And that is an interesting case that I will share with you. And the main objective is very simple. You get all the transcriptions of service, and based on parameters, there is a function. In the end of the day, you observe and you provide a feedback to that operator, what he did, if it was quality, if it was rude, if it was precise, offering the solution, it was intempestive. So there is an agentic that started helping the operators to have a better view on daily activities. There is a suggested answer. Yes, there is. Most of the tools suggest answers. But there is also a second part. In real time, they analyze what the operator is doing and suggesting at the same time of improvement. So the person improves and is getting better every day. And an interesting case, very shortly, this does not eliminate the human factor, does not eliminate people analyzing things. There was one of the analysts, his responsibility was monitor and screen all this transcription and talk to the operators. There was a capacity that we have, limited capacity of reading an amount of a text in a day. He could not read all the transcriptions of all the calls, all the operators. What did he do? He created a prompt, and it was available, B3 GPT. There is an instant of ChatGPT internally, B3, just to foster the use of AI, preserving our data, not to leak our premises. And he got B3 GPT and create a prompt. Now he can get the amount of transcriptions, putting B3 GPT with parameters. And we see a report. He goes to the operator's desk and give the report. Of course, he has to revise it. You have to be careful of the quality of the revision and suggestions on the artificial intelligence. More interesting, he changes his profession. He did not realize his function is different. He's not the guy who reads transcriptions and talks to the operators. He creates prompts, so we can more and more see the service better. This is a change. It's a change of career. Enhancing his work, instead of observing one transcription, he can read a set of transcriptions, helping them all at the same time. He's a prompt engineer. When I give him his feedback, he was surprised. He did not understand, but I say, digest that and you understand. You are changing your role. That's great, Doni. We are reaching the end. We have 3 minutes. I open up the floor for Q&A, but before, I believe we cannot open up the floor for Q&A. I don't think so. We have 3 minutes. We do not have enough time. Just a quick message. Our booth is here if you're interested in learning more, because just an overview very briefly in different products, different things. Our commercial team is here at B3 booth. If you're interested to learn more, we are there for you to answer questions, to deep dive and build partnerships to develop solutions to help you in decision-making process. That's perfect. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure.